Offset, and the certainly heading off.
Lovely scheme for this aircraft. A lot of Harvards, or Harvards as they were known to the Commonwealth countries, were sent to North Africa, where they were used for refresher training. Of course, there were also schools there for people to fly the Spitfire and Hurricane, operational training units. The Empire Air Training Scheme greatly benefited from these aircraft. It was a scheme produced in
2010 and based out of Stansted, and then enjoyed really loving vintage aircraft, so started flying vintage aircraft in 2007, but also still instructs part-time at Finland at the very school that he learned to fly at. He's got over 500 hours on tailwheel type alone, including the Tiger Moth, Stearman.
Used by as I said, the US Army Air Corps, and then later the US Army Air Force, because the US Air Force didn't exist until 1947. Also used by the US Navy under the designation SNJ. Some of those Navy aircraft were actually fitted with arrestor hooks for carrier landing training. Very rugged and reliable. Just under 15,500 of these were manufactured in the United States and Canada. And originally designated the BC-1 and then BC-2, the more advanced version. BC for Basic Combat. All these designations changed over time. Generally known as the T6.
So today is available for flight training as well as experience flights. You can also countryside, and if you're interested, just go to the website to have a look for the Wacky Rabbit at t6harvard.com.
Because the aircraft still around the world training pilots for the role in which it was originally intended. Manufacturing facilities and training airfields would be under the potential of Luftwaffe bombing. So the Empire Air Training Scheme was introduced, whereby Britain went to what are now known as the Commonwealth countries to undertake flying training to steer pilots back into the RAF. Countries that participated in that included Australia, New Zealand, Canada, then Rhodesia, South Africa, even I'm trying to think, Singapore. Before the fall of Singapore, they produced a number of pilots as well. And this was the aircraft that undertook the advanced training. So you do your elementary flying training in Tiger Moths if you're in England, maybe go over to Canada and then fly the AT-6 over there, or the same thing happened in South Africa. And then you would be sent over to England, perhaps flying fighters, bombers, transport aircraft, but it was a feeder line for pilots. 131,000 of them came out of that scheme.
That's a wonderful sound from that engine. So you mentioned Empire just there. This particular aircraft has also starred in a film. It was painted up in the Japanese Zero colours for 1994 for the filming of Empire of the Sun, where it had some additional work carried out to make the rear canopy look a little bit more realistic as the Zero aircraft. And then 2005 it was repainted again in the colours of the aircraft of His Royal Highness Prince Philip, the one that he flew for his advanced flight training. And at that time his Harvard bore the 5 stars denoting his rank of Marshal of the Royal Air Force.
It's got an incredible history, this machine.
So if you're interested in taking a
Offset, and the certainly heading off.
look to your left-hand side, the next display item is already rolling, just getting airborne. This is the T6 Texan. Just getting airborne now will be the next display item.
Because if you want to fly a Hurricane, a Spitfire, a Mustang on the modern day warbird scene, you've basically got to train on one of these. And people have joked that, for example, in relation to the Hurricane that we saw earlier in the programme, that once you've done 50 hours in a Hurricane, you're ready to fly a Harvard. That's the challenge this aircraft represented. Had to be flown accurately, had to be flown well.
Because, of course, at the time there were no dual control reducing Spitfires or Hurricanes. They came after the war.
Yeah, there was one two-seat Hurricane, and in fact there were a few sort of field conversions of Hurricanes during the war, but not as trainers really.
No dual control, it's just a hack, a bit,
exactly,
somewhere to put a body.
Yes, yes. Now we're inundated with Spitfires, but not used for the sort of initial training, obviously.